in the room, and my mom was holding a copy of Life magazine. And on the cover of that magazine was a picture of Christine Jorgensen, who was the first, most famous transsexual person from the 50s. And this was 1962. My mother showed me the magazine and she said, you know, I don't know if there are other people like you. People who think that they are a boy and were born a girl. But I'll tell you that this person on this cover of this magazine was born a boy, grew up to be a very successful man, and is now a very successful and famous woman. So you're 5. By the time you grow up, I think it will be okay. That was 1962. 10 years later, not about my life, a woman named Jean Manford was watching television news in New York, and she saw this scuffle. She saw officers harming people at a... She looked and it was her son. He was fighting for gay rights, for HIV/AIDS rights. And she decided that she loved her son no matter what. That's what they used to say, like when I was growing up, the no matter what meant if you go to jail, if you know, that stuff. But the no matter what for LGBT people has an entirely different meaning. It means no matter what, nothing will sway my love. And yes, we test it from time to time. And we push our parents to where we need them to be. But this woman, Jean Manford, saw that the Christopher Street Parade was coming up in New York. And she made this sign that said, you know, she did it herself. And it says, you know, we love our gay children, or love your great gay children. And she marched with her son in that parade. Now, immediately behind them in the Christopher Street Parade, which is the predecessor to New York Pride Parade, which is bigger and louder now, Dr. Spock, who was one of the original, you know, the baby doctor, told her parents that everything he did needed to be what he said. And all these people were cheering and cheering and cheering, and she thought they were cheering for Dr. Spock. And then kids started coming up to her, hugging her while she's in the parade, saying, I wish you were my mom. Could you talk to my mom? I want her to know I'm gay, and I want her to love me too. And she started PFLAG. That's how PFLAG was started, from the roots of New York. And yes, she's been highlighted and elevated. She died a couple of years ago. She received a presidential citation from President Obama. And the poster of the photograph with her marching with a sign and her son and Dr. Spock behind them was on the civil rights vote of President Obama's inaugural parade. The stories that you've heard from the mom and from Christina are the stories of PFLAG. And we have all kind of parents. We have the parents who did it right, those who didn't do it right and want to do it right for others, and want to help other parents be good to their children in the most loving they can be and the most supportive. And yes, you know, my parents, it was 62, 10 years before there was a PFLAG. But after Panama, we lived in Augusta, Georgia. So we didn't have PFLAG there. And yes, PFLAG has publications in Spanish and English available to families and to people who want their families to learn things. But I'll tell you, even as my mother and father loved me when I was 5, there are always going to be little, you know, all roads eventually have a little dip or a bump. And I'll tell you, I heard this story repeated. I've told this story twice in my life. One was at DC Transgender Pride about 6 years ago, and a trans comedian named Ian Hardy was performing. And he's using this as a joke in his performance now in his movies. But this is something that happened with me, and I'll just be real quick, but I'm Latino, we do tell stories. No one has to teach us how to tell stories. My mom's name for me, you know, everybody's got a name. My dad called me point D, my mom called me Mamacita, little mama. Here I am. So she had done fine with Diego for a lot of years before my father died. She just was like, just distraught. We all reached for whatever's familiar, whatever's comfortable. So I had to buy a black suit for my father's funeral to deliver his eulogy. So we went to like Burlington Coat Factory to go get a suit. And I said, Mom, you just sit here and I'm gonna go in and put on some suits. So I'm going in, I'm trying them all on. And she tells me, if you know Burlington folk, it's that area you're changing, and then there's all the people waiting to change. Little Mom, are you trying on that suit yet? So I waited about 2 minutes to come out, hoping everyone was gone, but they were there waiting to see who little Mama was. So I went up to my mom, I said, Mom, I love you, but if you keep talking like that while I look like this, I'm gonna put you in a home. And so we make light of things in our life, even if they're heavy. It's difficult to hear people misname us, mispronoun us as trans people, and it's hard as Latinos, where we're hearing the statistics about our young men, especially our gay men, at risk for HIV and others to lie. We need our people to be safer and more protected, and that's our job. But please, I'll just ask you to allow PFLAG and myself personally to help you with whatever you need. I have my business cards here if you'd like to receive the link for these. Drop me an email. These are free on our website. And I thank you very much. I'm honored to be among you. Thank you.
Next, I want to introduce